Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Nilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Nama Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpataru Veshya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnamebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam Pangum langhayate girim Yat kripa tamaham bande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Shri Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Mishwaram. Hare Krishna. So I welcome all of you for our Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are almost about to complete the pastimes of Vritrasura. So we can see what was the level of civilization that such glorious discussions are happening on the battlefield. Nowadays, even in the most civilized place, such talks do not happen. Even in the most advanced civilized place, even in the place where you are supposed to behave in a civilized way, the talks are very, very cheap. When people meet each other, friends meet each other, families meet each other, or when there is some puja, like our Santanu Prabhu was telling ki there was Saraswati puja in where he is staying now. And supposed to be the most civilized way. Saraswati Devi is the Devi for Gyan. And what was going on was some Bollywood song, and that too really, really passionate Bollywood song. So this is pujas of Kali Yuga, where it's supposed to be the most civilized way, and especially the demigods, especially these demigods like Ganesh, Saraswati, these are very, very extremely in the mode of goodness. So we see in Kali Yuga that even the most civilized places and situations are filled with such uncivilized way of doing things. The way we do Durga Puja, the way we do Saraswati Puja, the way we do Ganesh Puja. Forget about the way we do Holi in Vrindavan. It's really, sometimes it's really. So we can see the level of Vedic civilization. And more modern man is going away from Vedic civilization. How much we are going away from actually civilization. Modern civilization is no civilization. Srila Prabhupada was asked by a reporter that, Swamiji, you have come to change our culture. Srila Prabhupada said, culture? Where is culture in the Western world? There is no culture. I came to tell you what is culture. So we can see the level of people in those times, that in the battlefield such deep spiritual wisdom is being communicated. We can see also in the battlefield how Arjuna and Krishna, they are communicating such deep wisdom. So that is the level of human civilization. Even if people fight, there are codes of conduct, how people fight. So fighting is a very glorious activity. Nowadays, fighting, when you say people are fighting, say you have a negative connotation, people are fighting, because there is no codes of conduct. People can speak any slang words and people can do anything. There are no codes of conduct. But previously, when people were fighting, there are Saptarishis coming and witnessing the fight. In the 12th chapter, in the next chapter, we see the sages are actually witnessing the fight, because that is the level of dharma that was being followed in the battlefield. What to speak of what is being followed in the families during those times. If this much of dharma was being followed and this much of deep wisdom talks were being discussed in the battlefield, we can simply understand what discussions would be happening on the family, between husband and wife, between father and son, and what level of commitment and spiritual realizations those talks would be having. So as Vritrasura completed his prayers, so Vritrasura was expecting Indra to send his weapon and fight, because Vritrasura has given his whole self to encourage Indra. And Vritrasura was quite confident that this encouragement will definitely work, but then it didn't work. Then he started praying to Krishna, and after praying to Krishna also, Indra was just standing, and Vritrasura was thinking that this Indra is not killing me, and if he is not killing me, how will I go back to Godhead? Then I must do something to inspire Indra to kill me. So in the 12th chapter beginning, Sukadeva Goswami says that Vritrasura now thought that let me start attacking Indra. That would be the greatest force to help him get inspired to attack me. So Vritrasura takes his trident, Trishul. You have seen in Odisha during Rath Yatra, there are people who play like this. There are like a stick, and both the sides of the stick there will be fire, and people will be like this whirling fire, and it's really marvelous sight to witness. So Vritrasura started actually whirling the trident. And when Vritrasura was whirling the trident, it was looking like a dhumaketu, a meteor going in the air. And then Vritrasura sends it to Indra. Indra is actually on Airavat, because Vritrasura is of very height, is a big man. So Indra is practically flying on Airavat, just to have an eye-to-eye contact with Vritrasura to talk, because discussions cannot happen like, oh, Vritrasura like this. It doesn't happen. So Vritrasura is actually very tall and very hefty personality, and Indra is actually flying on the Airavat, and while flying he is fighting and discussing with Vritrasura. And Vritrasura sends the trident, and Indra sows the Vajra that is given by Vishnu, And because Indra shows the Vajra, the trident gets completely into pieces. And all the demigods, the Saptarishis say, Jai, Jai, Jai. And then Indra sends the Vajra and flies and cuts the left hand of Vritrasura. So the left hand of Vritrasura goes out, and Vritrasura takes his right hand and his mace. While Indra was cutting his left hand, Vritrasura takes his mace, Gada, and puts a big jolt on the jaw of Vritrasura. Just imagine the stunt. Just think about it, just here. Like you say that dant nikal gaya, jabde pe mara in Bollywood. And when Vritrasura's mess hits Indra, Indra falls off from Airavat. Vritrasura then beats Airavat also. Airavat also falls off. And the Vajra again, the Vajra goes out of Indra's hand, and Indra is again discouraged. Oh, I think, if this person without one hand is so powerful, what I am going to do? And now, after the second failure of Indra, this is the second set of instructions Vritrasura is giving to Indra for getting him encouraged. So just imagine how much encouragement is required for Indra. So how much encouragement is required for us to practice devotional service. So Indra, who is in mode of goodness, is requiring so much of encouragement. So as mentors, as spiritual guides, we must understand that everyone goes through failures and success in life. And we really need encouragement to go on with an inspiration. We need an encouragement to be inspired to go on in spiritual life. So failures are quite inevitable. Every conditioned soul is prone to failure. And that's what exactly Vritrasura is going to speak. And today's topic, we will discuss a very important concept that through these pages of Srimad Bhagavatam in the 12th chapter, the lessons we can derive is that can I be responsible and yet be detached in life? We see in this life, whatever responsibilities we take, if we really want to do it responsibly, there is a tendency to become attached. And people say that how do I do anything responsibly without being attached? If I do not have attachment to my son, how do I take the responsibility of a father responsibly? It's impossible. I do not feel that attachment. And I do not feel that attachment, then how do I act responsibly? If I do not feel any attachment to my wife, my husband, then there is no responsibility. There are so many kids lying on the street. Am I feeling any responsibility to it? Because there is no attachment. So the natural course is that attachment increases responsibility, and responsibility increases our attachment with the person. More and more we are attached, more and more we become responsible, and more we are responsible, we become terribly attached to that person. So, but Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita teach us how to be responsible and yet be detached in life. So this is Vritrasura's second set of teachings, or the final teachings of Vritrasura before he is going to pass away in the 13th chapter, or in the end of the 12th chapter. final teachings of Vritrasura in this material world. You can imagine, before going to spiritual world, just like Bhisma went to spiritual world, and there was the final teachings of Bhisma Dev that comes as Vishnu Sahasranam, and practically the Bhisma Parva of Mahabharata is the most longest and most elaborate Parva of Mahabharata, which Bhisma speaks on the battlefield. So I will share the screen. Oh, why I'm not able to share? Yes, now I'm able to share. Yes, so this is the first verse that we are going to see. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So this verse is 6th canto, 12th chapter, 7th number verse. Yuyutsatam kutrachidatainam.
Yuyutsatam kutrachidatainam.
Jaya sadaikatra navai paratmanam.
Jaya sadaikatra navai paratmanam.
Vinaikamutpatilaya stitishwaram.
Vinaikamutpatilaya stitishwaram.
Sarvagyamadhyam purusham sanatanam.
Sarvagyamadhyam purusham sanatanam.
Someone else. Yuyutsatam kutrachidataina.
Yuyutsatam kutrachidataina.
Jaya sadaikatra navai paratmanam.
Jaya sadaikatra navai paratmanam.
Vinaikamutpatilaya stitishwaram.
Vinaika utpatilaya stitishwaram.
Sarvagyamadhyam purusham sanatanam.
Sarvagyadyam purusham sanatanam.
Vritrasura continued, O Indra, no one is guaranteed to be always victorious, but the original enjoyer, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Bhagavan. He is the cause of creation, maintenance and annihilation, and he knows everything. Being dependent and being obliged to accept material bodies, belligerent subordinates are sometimes victorious and sometimes defeated. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita in 15:15, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto mattaha smriti jnanam apohanam cha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness. When two parties fight, the fighting actually goes on under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Paramatma, the Super Soul. Elsewhere in Gita in 3:27, the Lord says, Prakrite kriyamanani gune karmani sarvasaha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. The bewildered soul under the influence of the three modes of material nature thinks himself the doer of activities that are actually carried out by nature. The living entities work only under the direction of the Supreme Lord. The Lord gives orders to the material nature and she arranges facilities for the living entities. The living entities are not independent, although they foolishly think themselves the doers. Victory is always with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As for the subordinate living entities, they fight under the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Victory or defeat is not actually theirs. It is an arrangement by the Lord through the agency of the material nature. Pride in victory or moroseness in defeat is useless. One should fully depend on the Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is responsible for the victory and defeat of all living entities. The Lord advises Nityam Kuru Karmatvam Karma Jyayo Karmana. Perform your prescribed duty, for action is better than inaction. The living entity is ordered to act according to his position. Victory or defeat depends on the Supreme Lord. Karmanyavadikaraste ma phalesu kadachana. You have right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. One must act sincerely according to his position. Victory or defeat depends on the Lord. Vritrasura encouraged Indra, saying, "Don't be morose because of my victory. There is no need to stop fighting. Instead, you should go on with your duty. When Krishna desires, you will certainly be victorious." This verse is very instructive for the sincere workers in Krishna consciousness movement. We should not be jubilant in victory or morose in defeat. We should make a sincere effort to implement the will of Krishna or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we should not be concerned with victory and defeat. Our only duty is to work sincerely so that our activities may be recognized by Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So in this verse and in this purport, Vritrasura is explaining what we are going to today see 6 S of how we can make our duties and we can be responsible to our duties and still be detached. So the first S that Vritrasura is speaking about is success. The definition of success. For most of us, the definition of the success is success. Yes, success is success. When I am successful, that's success. If I do not get success, then I am not successful. I hope you understand what I am speaking. So I am successfully trying to explain to you. So the definition of success in most of the individuals is what fruits I am getting, the results I am getting. But Vritrasura is speaking here that the success is actually in the endeavor, not in the result. And Srila Prabhupada is giving various quotations from Karma Yoga chapter of the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Karmanyavadikaraste. Don't be attached to the fruits, just do your duty. And that's the success. Sometimes it is very easy to speak those verses from the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, but it looks very, very absurd, right? Like imagine a father is told, the success is just raise your child, and after that your son may become a sannyasi. Sannyasi, theek hai, what can be done? Or your son may leave you and go to US and you are in old age home. Just success, you are successful. Very easy to speak. But in this world, success is very much dependent on the externals. And because we are in this world, we too get affected by these externals. Like for example, 2 students are there and they have endeavored together. They have given their same energy together. Rather, one person has given more energy in studying, and one person becomes the topper and another person becomes the 9th rank. So the 9th rank is 9th rank. No one will recognize in this world the endeavors how the 9th rank fellow did, which is even more than the topper. Yes, anyone will give him an award, endeavor award. There is no endeavor award. There is only result award. Yes, I have seen in IIT, I never studied at all. At all, right? Devotees used to think in our base or youth center that he's going to fail. He's surely going to fail. Though my activities were very, very bewildering for a normal man. And I used to not study, and I have seen my friends, the way I study. Sometimes I used to get little fear that really is it required to study so much. But then because I used to do devotional service, so that fear used to sometimes fade away. It used to come in between. That I think this much is required to study and I really don't know what will happen. But then it used to fade away because of remembering Vaishnav songs. And it was such a wonderful time. I remembered so many Vaishnav songs, so many slokas, and hardly studying. And in our youth center, His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu had made a, based on this sloka of Srimad Bhagavatam, the study slots were there. There's something called study slot. And these study slots were independent of what CGPA or results you were having. You will be recognized in these study slots if you studied. And if you don't study, then you are not going to get your marks or being recognized by Radheshyam Prabhu, even if you are the topper of the institute. So I was like, unfortunately, never recognized in the study slot because I used to not study. And the results were immaterial for... but we understand that this sort of responsibility, that we are simply on a platform of duty, is very, 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 very boring and depressing. It's not possible to stay on the platform of duty for long. Because we are spirit souls, Anandamayo Abhyasat. We need Ananda, and duty doesn't give Ananda. Yes, we need to know that there is responsibility we have to do, and we understand, yes, success is in the endeavor, success of the father is in the endeavor that the son is being raised up. But when some outside person says कि ऐसा बेटा पैदा कर दिया, it really pains our heart. Yes. And sometimes when we go through failures, people say, Ki, you didn't do things rightly. That's why I was telling you this. Then it pains our heart. We just can't say, I did my duty. It's very boring, it's very depressing. So keeping only this verse, what Vritrasura is telling, that we must do our endeavors best and never aspire for any fruits, it is not possible for long. Because we are spirit souls, we need happiness and reciprocations. Yesterday I was talking with our Sumit Prabhu and he was telling the same thing. He was telling that how it is possible, because we need love, we need reciprocation. And on the platform of duty, if there is no reciprocation, we do not see the result as reciprocation, it becomes extremely difficult to continue the duty or responsibility in the same enthusiasm. We can see that the enthusiasm of all of us to render any duty or responsibility is very much a function of our reciprocations that we receive from others. If a husband does not receive the amount of reciprocation from the wife, then it becomes extremely difficult to work in that relationship, to be dutiful. Sometimes it's just a struggle to go on in that relationship because what can be done? Anyway, staying together is so difficult and staying away is also so difficult. Let's continue. There is friction, but what to do? Let's continue. So we see that this verse in itself cannot make us detached, and if at all the detachment be there, this detachment is quite artificial detachment. Sometimes people speak like this, that, oh, what can be done? I did my part and he didn't reciprocate it. What can be done? But this is not detachment. This is not the detachment that is being spoken in the scriptures, that is being advised in the scriptures. We are not advised to be detached without experiencing any happiness. If we do not experience happiness, the taste, then our detachment will be temporary. We find people are detached from the many relationships and they are not getting any reciprocation in that relationship, and they say, oh, I am just doing my endeavor, but then they get into some other relationship. Yes, we see that, oh, the husband says, oh, my wife is not reciprocating, and what can be done? Just going on in my relationship, but then he has some other relationship. As we see in this world, because we have to accept that reality, that we are spiritual beings and we are Vedanta Sutra. Recently I am reading Vedanta Sutra. It's really illuminating. It's just one or two words, but the sutras are really, like your intelligence will be really amazing, like beyond imagination. Vedanta Sutra. Janmadi yasya yataha anabriti sabdat sastra yonitvat. Very, like you can meditate and contemplate throughout the month or year on just one sutra. That is how they are power packed with information. So so I was just reading Anandamayo Abhyashat. This Vedanta Sutra says that we need all happiness and reciprocations, and it becomes extremely difficult to continue on the duty if we do not get reciprocation. So that is why just on this platform of duty we cannot be detached and be responsible. So then Vritrasura speaks the next sloka, that is, we will see the next shloka is the 9th verse. Ojasaho balang pranam. Yes, anyone? Yes.
Pujasaho balam
Pranam. Ojasaho balang pranam.
Pujasaho balam pranam
Amritam mrityum evacha.
Amritam mrityum evacha
Tamagyaya jano hetum.
Tamagyaya jano hetum
Atmanam manyate jadam.
Atmanam manyate jadam.
Yes. Our sensory prowess, mental power bodily strength, living force, immortality, and mortality are all subject to the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not knowing this, foolish people think the dull material body to be the cause of their activities. You see, everything is being explained here. Sensory powers, whatever senses and powers, mental power and intellectual power, bodily strength, living force, our life air, prana vayu, which makes everything work, immortality and mortality, death and deathlessness, everything is simply subjected to the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the next S Vritrasura speaks about is superintendence. The Lord is supreme. He is the supreme controller of everything. He is the awarder of success and victory. He is the controller of our body. He is the controller of our sensory powers. He is the controller of my speech, what I am speaking. He is the controller of what I am seeing. He is the controller of when I am eating, whether it is getting digested. And He is the controller of when I am drinking, when it is coming out properly. And He is the controller of making of the flesh and blood. He is controller of everything. So what option do I have to be detached, attached? I am forced to be detached. So if we take this verse per se, then we can easily get detached. अब कुछ है बचा ही नहीं, सब कुछ तो लिख ही दिया. What is remaining in this verse? Nothing is remaining. Sensory power is gone, mental and intellectual power is gone, physical ability is gone, that means your ability to digest. Prana vayu is gone, and prana is also counted. So if everything is counted and everything is being controlled by the Supreme Lord, then okay, detached. So the second verse per se, if we see it individually, not collectively, all the instructions that Vritrasura is giving, the detachment that comes from sense of duty or definition of success, that duty is only the success, is very artificial detachment. It doesn't have a juice and taste. And the detachment that comes from the sense that Lord is supreme and He can do anything and He is the supreme controller of my body, my sensory powers, this is very, very forceful detachment of the Jnanis. The karmis that is being explained in the first verse, the karma yogis, the detachment of the karma yogis to be in the dutiful platform is temporary. The karma yogis, even if they speak that, oh, I am just doing my karma and I am doing my endeavor, their detachment is quite artificial, because we are spiritual beings, we need the reciprocation. And this is the detachment of the Jnanis. Our Lord is supreme, He is the supreme controller, and He is the supreme everything. And what can be done? अब कुछ कर सकता हूँ क्या? अब कुछ अगर कर ही नहीं सकता हूँ तो be detached. Just like this is detachment at the deathbed. I was telling recently, I was giving a class in Friday, and I was telling ki sometimes people are detached like this, that they drank liquor and did all nonsense, ate non-veg and everything, and then at the age of 60-65 their stomach gets upset and digestion is gone, and now they become strong vegan supporters. I am now the most pressing vegan activist in the world. Vegan. Jai vegan. Yes. So you are not vegan activist because the activity of your vegan activities is based on a function of your digestion. Imagine you are awarded a better digestion right now, so veganism will be a question mark. So this detachment, that anyway I cannot do anything, so let's be detached. This is that detachment of the Jnanis. The Jnanis, they get knowledge about the Supreme. They analyze the world, how the world is working so automatically, so harmoniously, how we are so powerless with the in front of the cosmic energy, the Virat Rupa. And we do not have any power. And if you do not have any power, they meditate on the Virat Rupa. They meditate on the cosmology, like it comes in the Srimad Bhagavatam. You have heard the Vedic cosmology. There is a dolphin. Yes, I don't know what it is. Sisumar? Yes, Sisumar. They meditate on the Sisumar planetary system and the Virat Rupa. And then they come to the conclusion. This is the words that they come to conclusion. Oja saha balo yatram prana. Everything is being controlled so harmoniously. And then, Hare Krishna, I do not have anything to do. The only thing I have to do is be detached. So this is the forceful detachment of the Jnanis. So we see that in the platform of Gyan, knowledge, or the Jnanis, this knowledge that Krishna is the superintendent, we can be detached, but that detachment is forceful detachment. And in the platform of duty, karma, yoga, karma, we can also be detached and be responsible also. But that detachment will be artificial. And Vritrasura speaks the next verse for the Bhakti Yogis. And the Bhakti Yogis actually can be detached and be responsible and also experience the reciprocation and continue to do it with great happiness in the heart and satisfaction in the heart. So this is the third verse that Vritrasura speaks about. This is the 13th verse. Ayu Shri Kirti Aishwaryam
Ayu Shri Kirti Aishwaryam
Asisa Purushasya Ya
Ashisha Purushashya
Bhavanti Eva Hi Tatkale
Bhavanti Eva Hi Tatkale
Yatha Nichor Viparyaya.
Yatha Nichor Viparyaya.
Someone else. Ayushri Kriti Aishwaryam. Oh, yes. Anyone else? What happened?
Ayushri Kirtiraishwaryam
Asisa Purushasya Ya
Asisa Purushashaya
Bhavanti Eva Hi Tatkale
Bhavanti Eva Hi Tatkale
Yatha Nichor Viparyaya.
Yata Nichor Viparyaya.
Yes. Just as a person not inclined to die must nonetheless give up his longevity, opulence, fame, and everything else at the time of death, so at the appointed time of victory, one can gain all this when the Supreme Lord awards them by His mercy. So this is a very, very wonderful purport by Srila Prabhupada, which we are going to read. If someone else can read, it will be nice. Yes, anyone else would like to volunteer to read the purport?
It is not good to be falsely puffed up, saying that by one's own effort, one has become opulent, learned, beautiful, and so on. All such good fortune is achieved through the mercy of the Lord. From another point of view, no one wants to die, and no one wants to be poor or ugly. Therefore, why does the living entity, against his will, receive such unwanted troubles? It is due to the mercy or chastisement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that one gains or loses everything material. No one is independent. Everyone is dependent on the mercy or chastisement of the Supreme Lord. There is a common saying in Bengal that the Lord has 10 hands. This means that he has control everywhere in the 8 directions and up and down. If he wants to take everything away from us with his 10 hands, we cannot protect anything with our 2 hands. Similarly, if he wants to bestow benedictions upon us with his 10 hands, we cannot factually receive them all with our 2 hands. In other words, the benedictions exceed our ambitions. The conclusion is that even though we do not wish to be separated from our possessions, sometimes the Lord forcibly takes them from us, and sometimes he showers such benedictions upon us that we are unable to receive them all. Therefore, either in opulence or in distress, we are not independent. Everything is dependent on the sweet will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Haribol, Srila Prabhupada ki
Ki
jai.
jai.
Yes. So when I was young, just to explain you what is the purport in a very practical way, when I was young, I think in 11th or 10th, or I was quite not that young, matlab, I was in my teenage, and you all understand what is teenage. So my mother used to beat me with broomstick. And it was not like, oh, just touch the broomstick. It was really, it was really a Kurukshetra. The broom, when it will hit, it was with so much of force. My mother was very, very strong lady. It was not like me. It's really strong and very good health. Not fat, but really strong and really beautiful and strong and really. And my mother used to take that broom and beat me on my thigh. I would be like sleeping. I would get up in the morning at 3 o'clock and 2:30 and study for 5 till 5:30, and then my mother will get up at 5:30, and my mother will her desire was that I go and get the milk, packet milk, get the flowers, so that my father doesn't have to do that endeavor in the morning. And I didn't wanted to do that. And my father, whenever my father will go, my mother will get irritated. You have become so, he is getting old, he is doing throughout the day so much of work, and can you not do this small service? And he will become angry, and then I will not go, and I will be just like, somehow not go. And then my mother will really take the broomstick and beat me. Why you are not going? And why you're doing like this? Why you're not listening? And the force of the broom hitting my body will be so much that the broom, all the strands of the broom will come out, and the entire room will be filled with brooms. Like that. Just imagine if any other lady comes and beats me like this. And I used to be like smiling and laughing, my mother is beating me, and it used to pain a lot. It was really pain. Sometimes, blood will be there. And I'll be laughing, oh, my mother is beating me. And, and my sister will, aaj khaya bahut achhe se. And then I'll get up and run. And I'll tell father, you sit, I'm going. And then I'll run and get. And the next day again. After 2-3 days, it will stay for 2-3 days in my mind, and again I'll have to get one broomstick to go and get the milk packet. Flowers is to the extent getting flowers was fine, but getting milk it was a little far off, and walking to that distance, and I was feeling a little lazy and all. But my mother's beating was quite a big inspiration to get the milk packet. But I never ever in my life I had felt that why my mother is beating me like this. It was I used to wait. Hare Krishna, there is some sound. So I used to wait. Practically, it was a great relish that when my mother will beat. And it used to pain a lot physically, but it was a really relish. And I really miss my mother meeting me now. Yes. So now one may say that it's quite a distressful situation to get beatings from the mother. But how much when we get older, we miss the beatings of the mother. How much when we get old, we miss the chastisements of our father. Because we know that, we are convinced that it is so much filled and imbued with their love and affection. So the best way to be detached and be responsible is to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. The Bhakti Yogis, unlike the Karmis and the Jnanis, they are completely surrendered to the mercy of the Supreme Person. To the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sorry, this is... Okay, yes, sorry, it got disconnected. So to the mercy and the blessings of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is Bhakti Yoga. To take shelter of the Supreme Lord. And when we take shelter of the Supreme Lord, whether it is chastisement through failures, or whether it is rewards through success, it's always a blissful experience. Because we are not like these karmis that we do not have juice of reciprocation and we are simply doing it on a duty platform. We are doing it for Krishna. And even if we do not get reciprocation from our husband, from our wife, from our son, from our daughters, Krishna will reciprocate with us. Either he himself or he will arrange hundreds and thousands of people to reciprocate with you. Srila Prabhupada used to tell. Srila Prabhupada had written a Bhagavad Gita commentary before taking sannyas. That commentary to Bhagavad Gita was Srila Prabhupada's life and soul. They were in the form of manuscript. And it was the time Srila Prabhupada was 68 or 69 when he was about to retire from everything. But Srila Prabhupada's wife wanted Srila Prabhupada to work again and continue doing more business and getting more money. And Srila Prabhupada was interested in writing and doing some preaching for the pleasure of his spiritual master. He had already written, almost completed the manuscript for the Bhagavad Gita, and he was waiting and searching for publishers to get it published. And one day Srila Prabhupada comes back home and starts searching the manuscript, and his wife says that, oh, those things, along with the old newspapers and all those things, I sold them off so that I can purchase a tea packet. Just imagine, the commentary of Bhagavad Gita is being sold for tea packet. And Srila Prabhupada becomes so upset. He says, you need tea or me? And somehow, jokingly, his wife says, tea. His wife didn't knew the determination of Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada leaves the house not to come back again. Leaves his wife, his 3 sons, and not having anything in his pocket, just leaves on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so much of struggle, in Delhi, in New York, in San Francisco. And often Srila Prabhupada, after he got success, he used to tell that I left one family, one son, but Krishna gave me such, and those sons were really not that surrendered. And what to speak of my wife, it was really, but Krishna blessed me with so many daughters and sons, and such a wonderful family. This is the platform where we can be detached while doing our duties and still not feel the moroseness, because we are experiencing the reciprocation of Krishna either directly or through some agent of Krishna, which Krishna will definitely send us in our life. The only thing is that we take his shelter nicely through the process of devotional service, through the process of chanting of Hare Krishna, through the process of association of devotees, through the process of reading Srimad Bhagavatam. One time, one Mahavishnu Maharaj in ISKCON, His Holiness Mahavishnu Maharaj and His Holiness Radha Govinda Swami Maharaj, these 2 personalities as the most divine incarnation in ISKCON to propagate the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. Their attachment to Srimad Bhagavatam, the way they derive the lessons from Srimad Bhagavatam, is really exemplary. Mahavishnu Maharaj is no more. He has left us many years before. While he was living, once he had come to ISKCON Pune, and one of the brahmachari asked Maharaj, Ki Maharaj, I am feeling very, very disturbed mentally. I am getting a lot of lusty thoughts. And what should I do, Maharaj? And Maharaj just said, Ki get married. And this was too much for this person. He never expected this. And then, because his face was, he got very, very morose getting the answer. And then Maharaj again said, get married. And this time, he was initially thinking, I think Maharaj is speaking something else. But then Maharaj again said, get married. If you are getting lusty thoughts, get married. Be an honest person. And the third time Maharaj said, Ki get married to Srimad Bhagavatam. All your lusty thoughts, all your thoughts of envy, all your thoughts of jealousy, all your thoughts of greed and pride and illusion, everything will be shattered to pieces. Whatever reciprocations we aspire for from our wife, from our husband, from our children, from our father, from our mother, from the entire world, everything is being stored in Srimad Bhagavatam in the form of Krishna's mercy and shelter. Srimad Bhagavatam has incarnated in this Kali Yuga to give us the shelter. And for all of us devotees, our detachment is not artificial like the karmis, that we do not get any reciprocation and still be detached and go on with our responsibilities. Neither it is forceful detachment like the Jnanis, that Krishna is the controller. We all devotees of Krishna, we understand that Krishna is the controller, Krishna is the giver of success and failure, and we also know that if Krishna is giving me success, then it is for my good. And if Krishna is giving me failure, that he is trying to teach me some lesson. And very soon I am going to understand the lesson that Krishna is going to teach me. If we are receptive, if we take Krishna's mercy as the prime most factor in our life, if we take shelter of Krishna, Krishna is going to teach us through our success and teach us through our failures. Teach us through our tragedies and calamities in our life, whether it is physical or whether it is mental, emotional, and teach us in our greatest prosperities in our life. And then we'll be detached from everyone and everything of this world, because we are experiencing that sweet reciprocation of Krishna. But that detachment will not be just on the platform of karmis and jnanis. We'll be so responsible, because we know that this responsibility is given by Krishna to me. And if Krishna does not, if this responsibility cannot give me any reciprocation, Krishna will give me these reciprocations through some other means. Let me go on with this responsibility responsibly. If I am not getting any reciprocation from my son, I will definitely get that reciprocation from my disciple, or from someone else, from my friend. But I am going to get it, or directly from Krishna. I am simply a servant of Krishna. I take his shelter, and Krishna is supreme. And he uses his supremacy to show love and compassion to everyone. There are so many supreme people in this world. There are so many controllers in this world. But they simply use their controllership and proprietorship to simply spread exploitation. They try to exploit. But Krishna uses his superintendence. Krishna uses his supremacy to show simply mercy and compassion to everyone. And if I have the shelter of such a wonderful Lord, then why I need to be attached to anyone and anything with this world? Let me be attached to the mercy of Krishna, and let me do my duties very, very responsibly, because these are not my duties. These are the duties offered to me by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this way, a father can be extremely dutiful and responsible towards his son and daughter, even if he gets reciprocation or doesn't get reciprocation. A son can be dutiful to the father even if there is reciprocation or not reciprocation. In all relationships, we can be dutiful and responsible, provided we understand these responsibilities are given by Krishna to us temporarily, so long we have this body, and Krishna will reciprocate with us either personally or through other instruments to help us go on in this world and finally reach his spiritual world, Golok Vrindavan. But how do we get the strength to go on taking shelter of Krishna is what is explained by Vritrasura in the further slokas. The next slokas, I think the 16th sloka. So, when we take shelter of the Lord also tests us. He tests our surrender. He tests our shelter. Because everything requires exams. Yes? We have, as in Kali Yuga, nothing happens without exams. Everything. Nowadays, I see marriages, my goodness, it is really an exam. Some devotees are getting married. My goodness. I feel this is a much difficult exam than IIT. It's really a difficult exam, First the prelims of Kundli match, and then the subjective paper of talking and finding out whether it is really a match or not. And then there is a entire match of economic status and all those things. I was feeling that, thank God I gave IIT. I didn't have to give this exam in life. And I always pray that and Krishna is so merciful to me. But it's an exam. Everything. Marriage is an exam. Post-marriage is really an exam. And it's, everything is an exam in Kali Yuga. And so Krishna also does exams. And Krishna examines us in this way. The Vritrasura is speaking this verse. Pashyamam nirjitam satru brikna yudha bhujam ridhe ghata manang yatha sakti tava prana jihirshaya. Oh my enemy, just look at me. I have already been defeated, for my weapon and arm have been cut to pieces. You have already overwhelmed me, but nonetheless with a desire to kill you, I am trying my best to fight. I am not at all morose, even under such adverse condition. Therefore, you should give up your moroseness and continue fighting. So this is the next concept that Vritrasura is speaking. This is the exam that Krishna does for those who take his shelter, the exam of steadiness. Krishna tests our steadiness in taking his shelter. And those tests are designed in such a way that we will qualify. Just like a teacher sometimes gives the test for a standard 1 student, he will not give a test or paper of 10th level, he will give a standard 1 test. Or for someone who has reached a level, then those tests, sometimes we see the test of other person and we get afraid, Bhagwan mere se ye test na laga de. That will not be there. Sometimes devotees see my situation and they say, Krishna, oh, oh Prabhuji, does everyone have to go through this, what you are going through in life? Like sometimes some brahmacharis, they really get afraid seeing my situation. Really, really. And when I say my situation, and that's why I don't speak in Brahmachari ashram all these what I go through. They know, they see the effects, the dramatic effects of what is happening in my life. But recently I was completely choked up for 5 minutes out of air in the night, and it was like really, really. And I didn't say this in Brahmachari ashram. It's like very much. I said to the health in charge, because I have to say, and he really was afraid. He said, "My goodness, I think you have to change the doctor." I said, "No, no, no. The doctor is working well, and the doctor is telling this, it will get cured." But the tests, every test every individual goes through is perfectly designed to make him get qualified to the next level. And Krishna tests our steadiness. Krishna will give some exams or some success. And in success also there is taste of steadiness. Sometimes we become so complacent with success. Oh, now to everything is done now. It's ho gaya, abhi jeevan settled ho gaya. And especially the test of success is now it is stable. Hare Krishna, there is some sound. So there is success, and now everything is stable and everything. And I have seen this in the life of my Gurudev. His Holiness Radhanath Swami, his preaching in India, and so many disciples. And when his book Journey Home was launched, and after that so much of preaching expanded all over India. But then he had, with all this success in India, in Mumbai and Chowpatty, and then there is Govardhan Eco Village, with all this success, he was feeling a complete disturbance in his heart that I have got so much of success, but Srila Prabhupada actually wanted this Krishna consciousness to be taken worldwide. But unfortunately, after Srila Prabhupada departed, and because of certain court cases that happened in US, the preaching in America really took a toll. And then my Gurudev decides that let me leave India, go to US. And in America, there is very few disciples. And in America, there is the concept of self-independence. You have to drive your own car. You have to cook your everything. And here, he has so many of disciples waiting in queue to cook for him. So many of disciples waiting in queue to take him in car. And there in US, he is a beginner again in the preaching field, driving his own car, going and cooking himself, so that he can really spread the message among Americans. So success can also bring complacency. If we don't understand that this success is given by Krishna, let me be steady in my endeavor to do something else. And I have seen this in my spiritual master. And also in Srila Prabhupada's life. Srila Prabhupada was never complacent with the success he got. And similarly, defeat and failures can make us depressed. Success can make us complacent, and failures can make us depressed. But if we understand that we need to be steady in our devotional service, the success is given by Krishna, the failures are given by Krishna, let me steadily perform the devotional service. No matter whatever is happening, let me go on in my life. It is a way, this is the principle by which we can be detached from this world and be still responsibly acting in whatever roles we have been given by Krishna. Because even if we take shelter of Krishna, Krishna is going to test our shelter through the exams of steadiness. And then Vritrasura stops speaking after this verse. Then Indra speaks the reason why Vritrasura is able to be so detached and responsible. Somehow Indra speaks now, because now Indra is being so inspired by pure devotional talks of Vritrasura. Now he is speaking pure devotional service. And Indra is speaking the ways how we can get the next S, the last S is the strength. The strength to steadily take shelter of Krishna. So, this is the last two verses of this 12th chapter, where Indra is speaking about how Vritrasura is able to so be steady in his taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. This is the 19th verse, and then we will take the 22nd verse. Indra Vacha. Yes, anyone?
Indruvacha
Aho Danava Siddhosi
Aho Danava Siddhosi
Yashyate Matiridrishi
Yasya Te Matiritrishi
Bhakta Sarvatmanatmanam
Bhakta Sarvatmanatmanam
Suhrudam Jagadishwaram.
Suhridam Jagadishwaram.
Aho Danava Siddhosi. Aho Danav, you are a Danav, but actually you are Siddho Asi. Asi matlab actually. Asi matlab actually. Siddha, you are actually a perfect person. You are not Danava. Oh great demon, I see by your discrimination and endurance in devotional service, despite your dangerous position, that you are a perfect devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Super Soul and friend of everyone. So, the first strength that we get is regulation. Regulation in practice of devotional service and regulation in our endurance in commitment with our devotional service. That we are committed to do the devotional service practices of chanting, reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Whether I feel the juice while reading Srimad Bhagavatam or not, still I let me read Srimad Bhagavatam. Whether I really feel coming to the class and why Prabhuji is taking class and every week and why Prabhuji is not getting sick, and if Prabhuji gets sick then there is no class. Let me come for the class. Whether I really feel like chanting or not, let me chant Hare Krishna. So regulations are very, very important. And next is reciprocation. Understanding that Suhrudam, if you see the verses that Indra is speaking, that how Vritrasura has become so very, very steady in his taking shelter, because he has understood that Suhrudam Jagadishwaram. That though the Supreme Lord is Jagat Ishwaram, He is the controller of the Jagat, but He is actually Suhrat. He is friend of everyone. He is my friend. He is my most dear, most friend, living in my heart as Paramatma. What He doesn't know? He knows my most innermost desires. He knows what emotions I require. He knows what love I need. He knows what reciprocations I need. Everything He knows. So why I need to not be steady in His devotional service, in taking His shelter? Because He is my best friend. So this considering Krishna as our best friend and being very regulated in our devotional service, in our devotional commitments, whether we get the taste or not, going on in our committed devotional service is the way to steadily take shelter of Krishna, and that will help us get the reciprocations of Krishna and be detached from this world. And then finally, the crest jewel verse of this chapter, Indra speaks. This verse, when I read, it was like I put it in a red mark that this is the best verse of this entire Vritrasura section. You can take it note of it. This is actually the best verse of the entire Vritrasura section, the 22nd verse. Just let me open it. The 22nd. Oh, yes. Yes. Yasya bhaktir bhagavati Harau nishreyasheshware Vikridato mritam bodhau Kim kshudre khatako a person fixed in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord Hari, the Lord of the highest auspiciousness, swims in the ocean of nectar. For him, what is the use of water in the small ditches? Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Vritrasura has formerly prayed, Nanaka Prishtam, Nachapara Meshtyam, Na Sarva Bhaumam, Na Rasadhipatyam. I do not want the facilities for happiness on Brahmaloka, Swargaloka, or even the Dhruvaloka, what to speak of earth or lower planets. I simply want to return back home, back to Godhead. This is the determination of a pure devotee. A pure devotee is never attracted to any exalted position within this material world. He simply wants to associate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like the inhabitants of Vrindavan, Srimati Radharani and the Gopis. Krishna's father, mother, Nanda Maharaj and Yasoda, Krishna's friends and Krishna's servants. He wants to associate with Krishna's atmosphere of Vrindavan's beauty. These are the highest ambitions of a devotee of Krishna. Devotees of Lord Vishnu may aspire for a position in Vaikuntha Loka, but a devotee of Krishna never aspires even for the facilities of Vaikuntha. He wants to return to Golok Vrindavan and associate with Lord Krishna in his eternal pastimes. Any material happiness is like water in a ditch, whereas the spiritual happiness eternally enjoyed in spiritual world is like an ocean of nectar in which a devotee wants to swim. So this is the way, if this is the way we can get strength to go on steadily in our duties, being detached by our spiritual aspirations, by our aspirations of what reciprocations I will have in spiritual world. Then we will not look for the reciprocations of this material world. What a wonderful, we should be aspiring while doing devotional service. Oh, just some few years are remaining and Golok Vrindavan doors will be open for me. Krishna is going to open his doors and I am going to dance with Krishna. I am going to play with Krishna Gilli Danda. Just imagine, what a now Maya Devi is making me play Gilli Danda and Yeah, actually, I have become gilly, and she is holding a danda and putting me in different places, in different species, as the gilly is going on like a golf ball. He is being throwing me and putting in golf pit of different bodies. But how wonderful it would be to play gilli danda. How wonderful it would be to dance with Krishna, to dine with Krishna, to take prasadam with Krishna, prepared personally by Srimati Radharani or all the Sakhis. Just imagine the taste. So these spiritual aspirations actually can give us strength to go on in this world amid success or failures, and await the supreme mercy of Krishna, and await entering Sri Vrindavan Dham. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we discussed today, in summary, that how the detachment, like a karmi, to be dutiful in our endeavors, and the detachment of a jnani to be is forceful detachment, understanding the sovereignty of the Supreme Lord. But the detachment of a bhakta is stable and nourishing, because the bhakta takes shelter of Krishna. And then Krishna is going to taste us through his steadiness, and we can pass those exams of steadiness if we have committed, we are regulated in our devotional service, and also if we have aspirations for those supreme reciprocations. Hare Krishna. So yes, Sabyasachi Prabhu has raised his hand, so we can.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So the question is, considering the today's discussion, responsible and very detached, can we take the example of Gopal Bhatta Goswami when he was interested to leave for Vrindavan, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to render service to his parents who are old. So he is a yogi. Then second example from Grihastha, Raja Janak. So can we think that they are responsible also if they are detached? That's the first question.
Sorry. The second question?
The question is, still we are responsible and be detached.
Yes.
First, an example from Yogis Gopal Bhatta Goswami.
Yes.
And second is King Janak, being a Grihastha.
Yes.
He was responsible and detached.
Yes.
Can we take the example for them? And the second question will be that from 6.12.9 verse, we are saying the Supreme Lord is master of everything. Many times you go to temple and maybe priests, they emotionally exploit by uttering many things that if you don't do, you will go to hell, or you will not get the mercy of the Lord. Do this, do not this. There's one example. If it is so, or maybe many a times rishis or maybe spiritual mentors, they say, if you don't do this, you cannot go to Vaikuntha or Goloka. You still remain in material world. So these are two questions that I have. If it is so, then it is the wish of Supreme Lord, or it is the maybe I call it spiritual audacity or arrogance of that person to think that the person can be in the material world for suffering by the words of his.
Yes. So the first question, that about Gopala Bhatta Goswami. So Gopala Bhatta Goswami was instructed by the Supreme Lord Chaitanya that you stay in home, and he stayed in home, and after his parents passed away and he went to Vrindavan, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu specifically said to Gopala Bhatta Goswami, don't get married, just take care of your current responsibility as father and mother, of the father and mother. But the same Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to Raghunath Das Goswami that don't take care of your father and mother, you have done the right thing to come and leave them and come to Jagannath Puri. And to the extent that Lord Chaitanya said that though your parents are devotees, Hiranya Majumdar and Govardhan Majumdar, they simply want to stay in this material world. like the worm in the stool pit. That was the graphic example that Lord Chaitanya gave about the parents. Lord Chaitanya can speak about parents of Raghunath Das Goswami like this. We have no right to speak, but we can repeat what Lord Chaitanya said with due respect to both of them, to the parents and also Raghunath Das Goswami. So, in different circumstances, different things are required to be done by an individual based on what is best for the course of his devotional service. For Gopal Bhatta Goswami, they were devotees, and they were very good devotees. Bhatta, the Bhatta family, Gopal Bhatta's father and mother, Venkata Bhatt. Lord Chaitanya had a personal discussion with him, spiritual discussion, and Lord Chaitanya wanted him to serve. But as far as Hiranya Majumdar and Govardhan Majumdar, they were businessmen, they had a lot of money and they had a lot of servants. They don't need that care and facility because they have already so much. And they simply were creating hindrance. Venkata Bhatt was never creating hindrance in Gopala Bhatta's devotional service. Rather, Venkata Bhatt, when offered Gopala Bhatta to Lord Chaitanya and said, please take my son. And then Lord Chaitanya put his thumb, we will hear this elaborately in Gopala Bhatta's mouth, and said that he will reach me after some time. But Raghunath Das Goswami was being given so much of hindrance by his parents, and that's why the real course of action is to follow the Supreme Lord. So, and as far as Janak Maharaj is considered, was he's a Mahajan in detachment and doing the duties. But we see that though these people, while doing the duties of king, were also detached, but still they left their kingly position at one point of their time, and they exclusively focused on doing only devotional service. There are two types of devotional service. One is Swarupa Siddha devotional service, one is Aropa Siddha devotional service. Aropa Siddha devotional service is doing devotional service to the Supreme Lord through our material duties, giving some donation or creating some facilities for the preaching of the Lord. But Swarupa Siddha is chanting, reading, hearing. So, a person who is in the order of householder, he should have a plan that after some time, right now I'm in a position where I can support the Krishna consciousness movement in various ways and do a devotional service in a particular level. But after some time, I must retire and exclusively focus on simply reading, chanting, and spreading chanting and reading, helping others to read and chant. So all these Janak and everything, though they were working in that mood of detachment, they still took up the renounced order of life and exclusively to do the Swarupa Siddha Bhakti. So that is important. Though they were detached, but they took also formally the role of a detached sadhu in the later part of their life when all their responsibilities were over. So that plan we all should have, to retire and exclusively perform Swarupa Siddha Bhakti. We keep some of our savings, and from that savings we get some interest and live like a sadhu and sadhvi, husband and wife, and simply to spread the message of Lord Chaitanya and Bhagavad Gita. So that is the example of Janak. And as far as the second that the sadhus speak about, so that is Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. There is the filter check. So if the sadhus are saying something and it is not according to Shastras, so we reject the sadhus. And if the Guru is telling something which is not according to Shastras and sadhus, we reject the Guru. So scriptures, they have a 3 filter check. So all these 3 things should be in line. So that solves the case. Imagine some sadhu is telling, if you don't do this, then you go to hell. and if don't do this, so we should see what Shastras are speaking. Shastras have clear-cut recommendations, and rather very, very clear recommendations of how we should be behaving especially in the 7th canto, when we will read Prahlad Maharaj section of behaviors of a civilized person, behaviors of a grihastha, elaborate descriptions. So from that we can understand, and we can follow whatever is practical for all of us to follow. Yes.
Is to just maybe at curiosity, if you go to temples, the priests who had that kind of words
personally,
and spiritual exploitation, you can say that.
Yeah, personally, in many of the temples of India, and even in some of the ISKCON temples, the culture has started that, just trouble people and somehow they catch, and in ISKCON we have some life membership program and just ensure that they become life members somehow or other forcefully, and people get frustrated because temples are actually educational centers. And definitely the temples need to be maintained, the pujaris and brahmanas need to be maintained. But the pujaris and brahmanas and the members of the temple should understand that they are not being maintained by the donations of the rich people or the grihasthas. Temples will anyway be maintained by Thakurji. One person came to me and said, you are all taking donations and all. I said, we don't require your donations. Keep your donations with you. We don't require them. We are serving Lakshmipati Krishna, and we really don't aspire for your donations. And that person became a devotee. And he's now giving donations, but he knows that his donations don't run the temple. So sadhus, when they do not have the Shraddha on Supreme Lord, then they get materially motivated. They think, what will happen? Nothing will happen. The elephants are like more better than the sadhus then. They're fully dependent on the Supreme Lord. They're eating 100 kilos and sadhu needs 100 grams of rice every day. So if they do not have faith that if the Supreme Lord is who is giving 100 kilos of elephant food cannot give me 100 grams of rice, they will simply become materially motivated. And in most of the temples, government has taken over them. And there is no program for educating these sadhus, training these sadhus. And what will happen? When there is no training program, then sadhus will be worrying, मेरा पेट कैसे चलेगा? मंदिर से मेरा पेट चला रहा है. Actually, पेट मंदिर नहीं चला सकता है, पेट कोई गृहस्थ नहीं चला सकता है. Like my father asked, what about your old age? I said, what about my young age? I said, in young age I was taking care. I said, you are a fool. Young age, you were illusioned that you were taking care. It was Krishna who was taking care of me through you, and it is Krishna who is taking care of me through ISKCON, and it will be Krishna through someone else, if not ISKCON, will be taking care. That conviction everyone should be having. Not just sadhus, not just brahmacharis, not just renunciates, not just priests of temple, even a grihastha. And that conviction will come when we are trained to take shelter of Krishna. And no training available, so we should not try to blame the priest himself. We should blame the system that there is no training available. So what is expected? We have so many devotees in ISKCON, and if you go and meet with so many devotees, if they are not trained nicely, they will also behave, and they are behaving. Many of the places, people complain that why these devotees are behaving, and then we have to say, there is some lack of training, we are trying to mend it. So like that. So it's the case everywhere, wherever there is no training and there is no education. This is the natural result. Whether we are a grihastha, whether we are a priest in temple, we should understand that it's Krishna who is maintaining. No one else has the power to maintain. Eko. Upanishad says कि नित्यो नित्यानाम चेतनस्तेतनानाम एको बहुनाम यो विदधाति कामान. Eko. It's not that the Ambanis and the Tatas are maintaining their employees. Eko. Krishna is maintaining Ambani and all the employees. Eko. Krishna is maintaining the Tatas and all the employees. So, Eko Bahunam. Upanishad clearly says it's only Krishna. It's not Lord Shiva. It's not one person is maintaining everyone. So we do not have to fear anyone. And we are taking direct shelter of his person. And no devotee will die of hunger. Rather, no one will die of hunger. Yes. Hare Krishna. Yes, Kushal Udit Prabhu and then Kushal Vihari Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
Thanks for the lecture. Nice lecture, Prabhu. Prabhu, one question here that we see in this world, lot of people they say, अरे हम तो ठाकुर जी ने हमारे साथ जो करना है वो करेंगे. I mean, we are dependent on ठाकुर जी. उन्होंने जो किया है अच्छा किया. So and sometimes you also see that मैं तो इतना पूजा पाठ किया, but ऐसा क्यों कर दिया ठाकुर जी ने मेरे साथ. So such kind of incidences are very much coming in the life of others, and we see in other people. So how do we make sure that those people are really serious devotees and we should aspire to get their association, or how do we distinguish such people?
So because they have, as Indra is speaking, they have a concept that Thakurji is Thakurji, superintendent. They do not understand that Thakurji is Suhridam, is the most best friend. And that is why they get frustrated, that the detachment that they are having, ठाकुर जी सब कुछ कर रहे हैं, आप क्या कर सकते हैं, ठाकुर जी हैं, आप जो भी कर सकते हैं, लात भी मार सकते हैं, क्या कर सकते हैं ठाकुर जी. But to understand ठाकुर जी is my best friend. वो लात मार रहे हैं तो मेरे लिए अच्छा है, वो आलिंगन कर रहे हैं तो मेरे लिए सबसे अच्छा है. So we need to educate people with this. Suhrutam sarvabhutanam gyantva mam santim rachati. When we understand Krishna is Suhruda, Krishna speaks that I am the controller, I am the supreme enjoyer, but I am also the supreme well-wisher. So Krishna uses his control, Krishna uses his proprietorship. Yes, he is Thakurji. For what? Not to exploit you. In this world, everyone becomes Thakur. Like, Thakur is a very negative connotation in Bollywood movies. Thakur. So, in this world, people become Thakur to exploit and enjoy in a very, very wrong way. Yes? But Lord is not Thakur like of the Thakurs of this world. Lord is Supreme Lord. He is Thakur of our heart. So we should not make Lord as Thakur of this world. He is Thakur of the world, but He is Thakur of the world. He is simply seeking and begging for our love. And He is withholding His position as Thakur of the world so that He can give you all the resources. His beloved. Right? Just like a husband wants to be the employee in a company and all those things, but back in mind he knows that whatever I am doing so that I can provide some facilities to my family. Yes? So he is Thakur of the world so that he can become Thakur of your heart. So let's make Thakurji the Thakur of our heart and understand that he is the supreme friend of my heart. And when we understand, when we educate people like this, then they will get educated that Krishna is not Thakurji to exploit me. Krishna is Thakurji to actually serve me and is begging for my love. Yes. Hare Krishna. Yes, Kushal Vihari Prabhu, last question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you so much for wonderful class. So actually question is, when we come to devotional service, we also need reciprocation. So even in devotional service also we search for reciprocation from Krishna.
Yes.
So not for material things, because we have understood so much philosophy that we should not aspire for becoming successful in life by practicing devotional service, getting promotion and all those things. but some reciprocation we feel that Krishna should do. So what is actually success in devotional service? While we are actually not while going back to Vrindavan, but while we are here, what we should consider as success in devotional service? So, what kind of reciprocation we can expect. So, seeing every situation as mercy of Krishna is kind of difficult at this situation. Then, is there anything very tangible we can see? Okay, this is actually reciprocation of Krishna, which is easy to understand. No?
Yes. So, Krishna is very, very mysterious. Especially when we get little, and Krishna is envious lover. He knows how to catch his lovers. So especially when we get little depressed and morose that Krishna is reciprocating and all, then Krishna will send some drops, nectar drops in our life. Yes, Krishna is reciprocating with me. And then Krishna will leave us to do the sadhana process. Because until unless our heart is clean, though Krishna wants to reciprocate, will not be able to hear his reciprocation. It's not the problem of Krishna, we should understand. It is our problem. We have created a wall of the 6 anarthas in front of us and Krishna. And that wall is actually prohibiting us to reciprocate with Krishna. So now, what to do? This wall is there. So that is why the Shastras and the Guru, they are actually seeing from the other side how Krishna is reciprocating, they're seeing this side. So we need to take shelter of the sadhus and Shastras to help us explain that how do I understand that this is how Krishna is reciprocating in my life. For us, and most of the circumstances, it is difficult to understand those reciprocations, but Krishna is actually reciprocating. Krishna is reciprocating in very, very wonderful way. The hand of God is really there, invisible in our life. And but it takes some amount of time, some amount of energy, some amount of patience, and some amount of surrender to sadhus to help us realize and acknowledge this hand of God in our life. So we need definitely reciprocations, and Krishna is going to provide us this reciprocations. So, and Krishna is providing us the reciprocations. The love that a devotee experiences from his wife, he should understand that this is Krishna's love coming through the wife. Why can't we understand that this is Krishna's reciprocation? There are so many husbands in this world, they are so frustrated with their wives, they just can't leave them, they just can't live with them. But if I have got such a wonderful wife, loving, caring, who is just after me, aaj aap kya khayenge? So we should think that this is Krishna's reciprocation through my wife. Because I cannot directly reciprocate with Krishna, I am so much stooped in this bodily platform, Krishna has come in the form of my loving wife. He is reciprocating with me as this loving wife. Similarly, a father and a son and a wife should understand, if I have got a loving and caring husband, this is reciprocation of Krishna. And if he is not loving and caring, I should see within myself what is restricting my husband to not love me. There is something in me that is prohibiting my husband to not love me. Let me try to change myself honestly, sincerely. So whatever love one is getting in this world is all Krishna's love. He is the source of love. He is the source of all love. And one should see that Krishna's love in every love we receive. And sometimes we don't receive any love and we think that no one loves me. It may be because we are not taking the step to love anyone. So if we are not taking the step to love, we will never experience Krishna's love in our life, either directly or indirectly. Swataha parataha. If we want to directly or indirectly experience Krishna's love, we need to take the first step to love others and serve others. If I want to experience Krishna's love through my family members, if I want to experience Krishna's love through anyone of this world, then I need to take the first step to serve. And if I serve my wife and I do not get reciprocation of Krishna's love through my wife, I must have faith that I will get it from my daughter, from my son, or from my friend, from my disciple, from my spiritual master, but I will definitely get it, because it's not my wife who is going to give me love. It's my Krishna, who is my dearmost friend. He is giving me the love. Yes. And Krishna is going to give us the love. And we should see whatever little love and care we are getting, we should see Krishna's hand in it. Yes. Yes, and there is a wonderful announcement, Hare Krishna. There is a wonderful announcement that we are having a Braj Wives program, and we have already sent the requisition for the registration, and so it's requested for all devotees to enthusiastically participate. And we have given a lot of time this year, so you can peacefully create your own concepts with all your devotees. You have your now, everyone is having a group now. We have every devotee of our Jeev Daya is having some group and some devotees whom they are taking care, and all with all of your devotees, small groups, create a small group and create a wonderful concept. And we have a lot of time, almost 3-4 months for Ram Navami, and also after that we have 6 months almost for Janmashtami. So let's make a very wonderful Braj Wives, so that so many, actually, because we have given 40% weightage to the audience, really everyone brings so much of audience. And just imagine so many people coming and getting, if we call them for class by Sri Nitai Das, which is so boring, they'll not go. They'll never going to come. So, but if we call them for an entertaining event, very creative, then they are going to come, and it should be educating. So let's make a program very of education with entertainment, where people are nicely educated about the devotional service. And because they have their voting power, they are also very keen to attend it and get educated. So this is spiritual democracy. Hare Krishna. Yes, so please see that. And we have kept the registration dates little late, so that it is for all of you better. You can find out your groups, you can reshuffle them, shuffle them, and be ready. It's on 28th March, little bit think, but create a very wonderful concept together. It will help you to really discuss some things doing together. Actually, doing together, serving together is the greatest fun in life. Especially devotees, we do something, and it's not about success or victory, or anyway our prizes are not that lucrative. So every one of you can sponsor the entire prize. So it's but what is glorious is our participation, that we are together doing something, so that so many people are going to come to vote, and when they come to vote, then they get some education about Krishna consciousness, right? Nowadays people have become very, because of so many, you see, when I was a kid, there was 2 channels, DD1 and DD2, and DD1 was so boring, and so that was DD2, which was Metro. It was a little bit interesting, the cartoons and all this, and DD1 was like very informative, and it's so boring. The 2 channels. Now there are more than 200 channels, and not just channels, there are Netflix, there are web series, and such a way, and there is such a 4K vision, digital television, and then so with those things, if we think that we can inspire people in bhakti by giving some classes, only classes, yes, all of you are sitting for 1.5 hours or hearing because you have gone through last 3-4 years those experiences, and you have understood the importance and value of hearing about Krishna. But especially for new people, the world has changed. We need to create innovative new ways to make Bhagavad Gita alive for everyone. So let's make this endeavor that let whatever concepts we make in Brajvais come from the scriptures and the information and education of the scriptures in a very, very unique and creative way, so that the new people who come to vote, they actually come to vote, but they take back Krishna with them. Yes, so that's the concept of Brajvais, and it was very, very successful. It was, beyond imagination successful, the way devotees participated last year, and so this year also we are more organized this year, so we have more time, and it is also, there is a gap between round 1 and round 2, so there is no panic, no hurry. Think whatever classes you have heard from Bhagavatam, from Bhagavad Gita, everything will come to test by creating a concept of making it available to the public who is completely new in a way that they appreciate it and is appealing to them, right? So that's the test. That's what is realization, sakshatkar. We may study scriptures, but realization means we make scriptures available to the audience, appealing to the audience. Yes. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.